Tell me some cool historical myths about sleep.
What if it's not just how long you sleep, but how well you sleep? What if your mattress is silently stealing your energy every night? This is the Rest Report, presented by Mattress Central, where we uncover the truth about sleep, one sleep issue at a time.
Alright, so I came across something wild doing some research for this episode. Apparently back in ancient times, people didn't think sleep was your brain recharging or anything, like they thought it was spiritual.
Oh yeah, 100%. In many ancient cultures, sleep wasn't seen as a biological process at all. It was considered a spiritual state. The body was resting, but the soul, that was believed to be active, traveling, communicating, experiencing other realms.
So like, your body's knocked out, but your soul's running errands in the universe?
That's actually a pretty accurate way to put it. Remember, they didn't have neuroscience, no understanding of the brain, nerves, REM sleep, none of that. So consciousness was thought to come from the soul. When you fell asleep, it was almost like a temporary death, just not permanent.
That's crazy. So dreams weren't just random either, I'm guessing.
Not at all. Dreams were considered messages, and important ones. People believed they came from gods, ancestors, cosmic forces. They could be warnings, prophecies, healing instructions, or guidance about the future.
So, you're telling me people were making real-life decisions based on what they were dreaming?
Absolutely. Civilizations like Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, India, and many indigenous cultures took dreams very seriously. Kings and military leaders sometimes made political or war decisions based on what they dreamed.
Imagine like running a whole country based on what you saw while sleeping. That is crazy.
It sounds wild now, but at the time, it was logical within their worldview. If dreams were divine communication, ignoring them would have seemed irresponsible.
Okay, but here's the part that really blew my mind. The whole soul traveling thing, that wasn't metaphorical, right? They literally thought your soul left.
In many traditions, yes, it was believed the soul physically or spiritually traveled to other realms or dimensions during sleep. That belief actually explains why dreams can feel so vivid and real in cultural storytelling.
That also explains why people were scared to like wake someone up suddenly, right?
Exactly. There was a real fear that if you woke someone too abruptly, their soul might not return to the body in time. People worried it could cause illness, madness, possession, even death.
So, instead of shaking someone awake, you'd wake them up gently so their soul could go back to their body safely?
That was the idea. Especially with children, people were very careful.
Okay, so what about nightmares? Were those just bad dreams or was that something worse?
Much worse in ancient interpretations. Nightmares were often seen as demonic attacks, evil spirit interference, or signs the soul was in danger or out of balance.
Wow, that really sounds terrifying.
It could be. In some cultures, if someone had severe nightmares, shamans or priests would perform rituals to retrieve or protect the dreamer's soul, almost like a spiritual search and rescue mission.
Wow, imagine needing a soul retrieval because you had a bad dream. That is intense.
Yeah, sleep was considered a vulnerable state since your soul was thought to be away. Your body needed protection. So people performed bedtime rituals, prayers, offerings, cleansing ceremonies.
It's like a spiritual security system.
Yeah, they'd keep amulets, charms, or sacred symbols near the bed for protection while they slept.
Okay, I also read about something called dream incubation. What's that?
That was practiced in places like ancient Egypt and Greece. People would go to temples, perform rituals, and sleep there intentionally, hoping the gods would send them visions, guidance, or healing dreams.
So like divine customer support while you nap.
That's one way to describe it, yes.
It's wild how different that is from how we see sleep today.
Yeah, today science explains sleep through brain activity like our REM cycles, memory processing, neural repair. It's physiological.
But back then,
Across many ancient cultures, there was a shared belief When you fall asleep, your soul is out there doing something.
Honestly, that kind of makes you look at dreaming a little bit differently, I think.
It does. Even if we understand the biology now, the mystery of dreaming still fascinates people, just like it did thousands of years ago.
Alright, so I gotta ask you about this because it really blew my mind. In medieval Europe, sleep wasn't just like, I'm tired, I'm going to bed, right? It was way deeper than that.
Oh yeah, sleep was heavily moralized. The church basically framed the body as a battleground for the soul, so even something as normal as sleeping had spiritual consequences.
Okay, so wait. So just being tired could be a religious issue?
Not being tired, but how you handled sleep. Sleep itself was necessary, of course, but too much sleep, that was seen as spiritual weakness.
No way. So like hitting snooze was a sin?
In a sense, yeah. Oversleeping was tied to sloth, one of the 7 deadly sins. And sloth didn't just mean laziness, it meant neglecting your spiritual duties, missing prayers, skipping devotion, wasting time that should have been spent honoring God.
That is wild. So who set the standard? Like, who was the model sleeper?
Monks, they were basically the gold standard for discipline. Their schedules were intense, they would intentionally wake up in the middle of the night to pray.
On purpose?
On purpose. It was meant to prove spiritual control, that they weren't giving in to bodily comfort. Interrupting sleep showed devotion.
So sleeping straight through the night was almost spiritually suspicious?
In extreme views, yes. Early rising became associated with righteousness and discipline. Sleeping in looked like moral failure, like your soul was out of balance.
Wow. That explains so much about the modern guilt around sleep, like the whole grind culture thing.
Absolutely. A lot of that guilt traces back to these religious frameworks, even if we don't think of it as spiritually anymore.
Okay, but the nightmare stuff is really what got me, because back then, people didn't think nightmares were just stress dreams, right?
Not at all. Nightmares were often believed to be supernatural attacks.
You mean like demons?
Literal demons. Medieval dream theory had categories. Dreams could come from God, from your physical body, or from evil forces.
Okay, so if you had a terrifying nightmare,
Many believed demons were visiting you in your sleep. There were specific entities blamed, like incubi or the mare, which is actually where the word nightmare comes from.
okay, hold up, the mare thing, that's that chest-sitting demon, right?
Oh yeah, people who woke up unable to move, what we now call sleep paralysis, thought a demon was sitting on their chest, suffocating them.
Oh man, that is horrifying.
It was. People took protective measures, praying before bed, keeping religious relics nearby, arranging their sleep spaces for spiritual safety.
So, bedtime routines were basically like exorcism prep.
In some households, yeah, there were even beliefs about positioning, blessings, and objects that could ward off evil during sleep.
Were there like any skeptics back then, like early doctors?
A few, some physicians suggested nightmares could come from diet, illness, or bodily imbalances, but sleep was morally judged, spiritually risky, and sometimes outright feared.
That is insane. Imagine being scared to fall asleep because you might think demons might pull up on you.
For many people, that fear was very real.
Man, makes my melatonin gummies feel luxurious.
Medieval monks would be very confused by those.
Okay, wait. I heard something wild the other day. Is it true that back in the day, doctors were actually scared of sleep? Like they thought it could kill you?
Yeah, it sounds ridiculous now, but for a long time, that was a real belief. Early medicine was built around something called humoral theory, the idea that your body needed constant internal activity to keep your vital forces balanced.
So, resting was bad?
Exactly. If you were lying still, especially asleep, doctors thought your circulation slowed down and your life force weakened. So if you were sick, sleep was seen as risky, like your body might not have the strength to keep fighting.
That's insane. But where did the idea even come from?
Observation, but misinterpreted. Doctors noticed that severely ill patients became extremely drowsy right before death. Instead of realizing sleepiness was a symptom of the body shutting down, they assumed sleep itself was causing death.
Wow, so they got the cause and effect backwards.
Completely backwards. Because of that, they'd try to keep sick patients awake on purpose, shaking them, stimulating them, keeping lights on, even withholding pain medication so they wouldn't slip away in their sleep.
No way, that probably made recovery even worse.
Most likely, stress and sleep deprivation weaken the immune system, but they didn't know that yet. They genuinely believed they were saving lives.
Okay, but it gets crazier. Didn't scientists also think the brain was shutting off during sleep?
They did. Before modern neuroscience, sleep looked like total inactivity, no movement, no responsiveness, so people described it as a mini death. They assumed the brain basically powered down.
So, like, lights off, nobody home.
Right, until the 1950s. That's when researchers discovered REM sleep, rapid eye movement. They saw people's eyes darting around their eyelids while their brains were almost as active as when they were awake.
So, sleep wasn't shut down, it was busy.
Very busy. That discovery changed everything. We now know sleep is when your brain files memories, processes emotions, regulates hormones, strengthens your immune system, repairs tissue, and even clears metabolic waste from the brain.
So, like, the thing doctors once thought might kill you.
Is actually one of the main things keeping you alive.
Wow, that's wild. Sleep really went from the danger zone to a full body recovery mode.
Exactly. Same behavior, completely different understanding.
Dude, so I stumbled upon something that low-key like broke my brain. Apparently humans didn't even used to sleep how we do now. Like the whole 8 hour straight thing, that's kind of a modern thing.
Yep, and that surprises a lot of people. What you're talking about is called segmented sleep or biphasic sleep. It was very common before industrialization.
Right, because I read that people weren't out here doing one long sleep like it was a marathon. They were sleeping in rounds like a boxing match.
That's actually a great analogy. People would have what they called a first sleep. They'd go to bed a few hours after sunset, often around 8 or 9 p.m., since there was no electricity keeping them up.
So first sleep starts and they're just fully knocked out?
Exactly. Deep, restful sleep for about 3 to 4 hours.
Okay, but here's the wild part to me. They just wake up in the middle of the night on purpose?
Totally normal. That period was called the watch or wake period. It could last 1 to 2 hours, and people didn't think anything was wrong.
Imagine waking up at 2 a.m. now and being chill about it. I would be spiraling like, great, insomnia, my life is over.
Back then, it was peaceful, intentional time. People did quiet activities like praying or meditating, reading by candlelight, talking with family or their spouse, reflecting on dreams, writing, or even tending the fire or small chores.
So basically, cozy medieval me time.
Exactly. No emails, no notifications, no artificial light blasting your brain awake.
Then after their little midnight vibe session, they'd go back to sleep.
Yep, second sleep, another 3 to 4 hours until sunrise. Total sleep was similar to ours, just split.
Okay, here's what really blew my mind though. Scientists think this might actually be more natural for humans.
There's research supporting that. When people are put in dark environments without artificial light, like controlled lab studies, their bodies often drift into segmented sleep on their own.
So our bodies might default to the two sleep if society didn't intervene.
It appears that way for many people, yes.
So when did it all change? Let me guess. Factories ruin everything.
Pretty much. The Industrial Revolution compressed sleep.
Because now you can't wake up at midnight journaling about your dreams. You've got to clock in at 5 a.m.
Exactly. Factory schedules demanded strict wake times. Long shifts, sometimes 10 to 12 hours, required consolidated rest.
And then electricity shows up.
That was huge. Artificial light extended evenings. People stayed up later, but still had to wake early, so sleep got squeezed into one block.
Boom. Monophasic sleep. One long, stressed chunk.
Right, it became the social norm.
And naps caught strays too, which feels unfair.
Historically, naps were practical, especially in agricultural societies or hot climates. Resting during the day made sense biologically.
So, work when there's daylight, rest when you're tired. Revolutionary concept.
But industrial productivity culture reframed daytime sleep as a negative.
Yeah, like if you're napping, you must be lazy, sick, old, not contributing.
Exactly. Daytime rest became socially stigmatized.
Wow. Even if your body literally needed it.
Correct. Cultural values started prioritizing constant productivity over biological rhythms.
So let me recap because this is crazy. Humans used to sleep in 2 rounds, wake up peacefully at night, nap without shame.
That's a fair summary.
And then factories, electricity, and capitalism said, best I can do is one stress 7-hour sleep and anxiety.
And that's one way to put it, but yes, modern sleep patterns are heavily shaped by social and economic systems, not just biology.
Low key, we might be the ones doing sleep wrong.
Or at least, we're the version optimized for industry, not necessarily for human physiology.
Dude, so I found this out and it blew my mind. People back in the day didn't mess around with sleep. Like, we think it's just hit the mattress, knock out, but they thought nighttime was basically when all the weird spiritual stuff clocked in for work.
Oh yeah, historically, nighttime was seen as one of the most spiritually vulnerable periods of the day. Sleep wasn't just biological, it was metaphysical, energetic, even dangerous.
Right? Like, take feng shui. I always thought that was just furniture aesthetics, but it's way deeper than that, right?
Much deeper. Feng shui is about energy flow, qi, in your environment. The bedroom was considered your body's recharging station. If the energy flow was disrupted, it could affect your health, mood, even your fate.
And bed placement was a huge deal. I read that if your bed faced the door, that was bad.
Yes, that's called the death position. In traditional Chinese culture, bodies were carried out of rooms feet first through the door. So aligning your bed that way symbolically put you in position of the dead, not exactly restful energy.
That is terrifying. Imagine just trying to sleep and your room is like, congrats, you're staged for checkout.
Exactly. Symbolism mattered a lot in pre-modern belief systems.
And mirrors. Mirrors were like spiritual red flags.
Very much so. If a mirror faced the bed, people believed it could bounce or drain your energy while you slept. Some traditions also believed mirrors could act as portals, allowing spirits to observe you or even pass through.
So basically a ghost doorway across from your pillow. Yeah, hard pass.
Which is why many people covered mirrors at night or removed them from bedrooms entirely.
They were also big on blocking spirit entry points, right? Like doors and windows weren't just architectural, they were paranormal pathways.
That's a great way to put it. People hung charms, coins, protective symbols, even miniature weapons above beds or doorways to ward off spirits and demons. It functioned like spiritual home security.
Ancient ADT system.
Exactly.
Now drafts, this part really cracked me up. People were terrified of drafts.
Yes, before germ theory, illness was often explained through the miasma theory, the belief that disease spread through foul or bad air.
So if it smelled bad, it could kill you.
Essentially, night air was considered especially dangerous because it was cold, damp, and associated with decay.
Their logic chain was wild. Night equals darkness, danger equals cold, plus damp equals decay equals disease.
Exactly. So sleeping near an open window was thought to expose you to illness. Many people sealed windows shut at night.
Which is funny because they weren't totally wrong about night air being linked to sickness.
Right, but the real culprit was often mosquitoes carrying diseases like malaria, not the air itself.
Still, they thought drafts could creep into your body while you slept because your defenses were down, like your pores were open and your soul was out roaming.
And that brings us to one of the most widespread beliefs, the wandering soul.
Yeah, a lot of cultures believe when you slept, your soul literally left your body.
to travel, communicate with spirits, receive messages, or experience dreams as real journeys, which meant your physical body was unattended and vulnerable.
So nighttime became prime for ghost attacks, demons, bad energy, and possession.
Many historical explanations of sleep paralysis, for instance, were framed as demonic encounters rather than neurological events.
Which explains why the protection rituals were centered around the bed, the danger zone.
Exactly. People layered defenses, amulets under pillows, charms over headboards, guardian statues at doors, wind chimes to disrupt bad energy, crystals for balance.
So basically building a magical fortress just to safely go unconscious for 8 hours.
That's a fair description.
Even sleeping with your feet towards the door was a no-go, right?
Yes, again, tied to funeral symbolism, bodies carried out feet first. Aligning yourself that way was thought to invite death energy or make it easier for spirits to take you.
So your room layout wasn't just interior design, it was ghost strategy.
Spiritual risk management, you could say.
When you add it all up, ancient bedtime logic was basically your soul might leave your body, spirits might try to get in, bad energy could drain you, drafts could infect you, cold air at night could kill you.
Which is why rituals, charms, bed placement, and sealed windows all mattered deeply.
Meanwhile, we're out here falling asleep to TikTok with LED lights on and a fan blasting directly into your soul.
A very different sleep environment, spiritually and scientifically.
Dude, so here's the wild thing I can't stop thinking about. Sleep myths didn't disappear. They just got like a rebrand. Like same pressure, new packaging. Am I reaching or is this actually real?
You're not reaching at all. That's actually a very accurate way to frame it. Cultural beliefs about sleep didn't vanish with science. They evolved. The language changed, but the emotional weight, the guilt, fear, and judgment stuck around.
Right? Because back then people thought sleep was spiritual, dangerous, even sinful. And now we act like it's just biology, but we still judge it.
Exactly. In medieval Europe, for example, oversleeping was considered the sin of sloth. Sleep too much, and it meant moral failure, lack of discipline, lack of devotion.
Which is crazy to me, because fast forward to now and it's like sleep too much equals unproductive, lazy, disappointing your LinkedIn feed. Different boss, same guilt.
That's a perfect comparison. We replaced religious judgment with economic judgment. Instead of failing God, people feel like they're failing capitalism, or at least falling behind in it.
So let me ask you this. Why do I feel like I committed a crime if I sleep until 11? Nobody said anything, no one texted me, but I wake up like, dang, I really wasted my life.
That feeling has deep historical roots. For centuries, moral systems linked early rising with virtue. Monks would intentionally interrupt their sleep for midnight prayers. The idea was that less sleep meant greater holiness and discipline.
And naps. Bro, naps get such a bad reputation for no reason. You tell someone you took a nap and they hit you with, must be nice, I don't have time for that. I'll nap when I'm dead. Like, relax, dude.
What's interesting is humans are biologically wired for a mid-afternoon energy dip. In pre-industrial societies, biphasic sleep or daytime rest was normal.
So you're telling me the afternoon crash is built in?
Yes, many cultures still normalize it. Siestas in Spain, rest periods in Mediterranean regions, even workplace nap pods in parts of Asia.
And meanwhile, if you nap here, you feel like you lost the productivity game of the day.
And because industrial work schedules stigmatized daytime sleep, if you weren't working, you were seen as wasting time.
So nap guilt isn't science, it's a cultural conditioning.
Precisely.
Okay, this part fascinates me. Nightmares. Back then, if you had a nightmare, people were like, yeah, demon, no follow-up questions. Just straight up supernatural attack.
That belief was widespread. Many cultures thought evil spirits, witches, or curses targeted people during sleep, especially because the soul was believed to leave the body.
So now we don't say demons, but if someone has constant nightmares, we assume they have trauma, anxiety, PTSD, or stress.
Right, the explanation shifted from supernatural to psychological, but the emotional experience is similar. Vulnerability, loss of control, fear of what's happening inside of you.
So ancient people thought their soul was in danger. Now we think it's our minds.
Same fear, different framework.
Okay, here's the biggest one to me. Modern society treats sleep like an obstacle, like something you have to minimize to win at life. You hear it constantly. Sleep is for the weak. I run on 4 hours of sleep. Grind now, rest later.
That mentality surged during the Industrial Revolution. Human value became tied to output. Hours worked, productivity, efficiency.
So sleep became unproductive time.
Exactly, and culturally, we never fully recovered from that framing.
It really is monk mentality, but for capitalism. Less sleep equals more discipline, more work equals more worth.
That's a very insightful parallel.
Okay, this realization messed me up the most. Back then, people feared if I rest too much, I'm failing God. Now it's if I rest too much, I'm falling behind everyone else.
Yes, divine punishment has been replaced by social and economic anxiety.
So instead of hell, we fear career failure, financial struggle, being outworked, and missing opportunities.
Yeah, rest feels risky because success feels competitive.
You're not scared of damnation, you're scared of being broke.
That's the modern pressure in very direct terms.
And even though science is screaming that sleep is essential, culture still treats it like it's optional.
Which creates emotional consequences like guilt for resting, shame for being tired, feeling lazy for needing sleep, weak for burning out.
That's why people brag about exhaustion like it's a trophy. Bro, I slept for 3 hours. I haven't had a day off in weeks. Like, congrats, you're speed running burnout.
Fatigue has become a status symbol, proof of ambition.
Okay, so the big takeaway is we think we're modern and logical now, but emotionally, we're still running on ancient sleep software.
That's a powerful way to put it. The biology is timeless, but so are the cultural pressures layered on top of it.
So we just updated the vocabulary. Sin, laziness, demons, anxiety, soul danger, mental health, religious discipline, hustle culture.
Same pressure, different language.
Different front, same stress.
Exactly.
Thank you for watching this episode of The Rest Report. If you want to know more about sleep or other sleep products, visit us on our social media and our page at Mattress Central.
Or visit us in store, open 7 days a week, where we have West Virginia's largest mattress selection.